Welcome back to the deep dive. If you're trying to get seen online, trying to reach your audience in this incredibly crowded digital space, you've definitely heard the term SEO.
Hmm.
That's search engine optimization. It's essentially, well, the art and science of getting your website to show up high in search results, like on Google, without paying for those ad spots.
Right.
It's all about earning that visibility, that organic traffic.
Exactly.
We've had a stack of really interesting sources come across our desk, pretty comprehensive guides digging into how this actually works.
Yeah, they covered a lot of ground.
They really do. Everything from figuring out what people are even searching for to optimizing the words and layout on your pages, the complex technical stuff happening behind the scenes.
The hidden machinery?
Right, and even how to get found by customers who are, physically nearby.
Local search, yeah.
Yeah.
Crucial for many businesses.
So our mission today is really to cut through the noise, unpack these sources, and pull out the absolute essential insights so you can understand the core elements of SEO and, well, why they're so critical if you want to connect with your audience online. Think of this as your shortcut to getting up to speed.
And these sources are great because they show SEO isn't just one monolithic thing. It's a system. By looking at keyword research, optimizing the page itself, building that solid technical foundation, and understanding those local nuances, you start to see all the pieces of the puzzle.
Right.
It really helps clarify how these different areas, work together to influence how search engines actually see and rank your site.
Okay, so let's start right at the core then. What is SEO, really?
Well, fundamentally, it's about making your website appealing to two groups. The people actually looking for stuff.
Information, products, whatever.
Exactly. And appealing to the search engines, trying to give those people the best possible results.
So when you do that well,
You earn those valuable organic rankings. And that brings traffic, builds awareness, and, ultimately helps you achieve whatever your online goals are.
makes sense.
And like we said, the sources make it clear achieving that isn't about just one magic trick.
No silver bullet.
Nope. It's the combination of several key areas working in concert. The material we've got breaks it down into four main elements, really, that are fundamental to a successful, well-rounded SEO strategy.
Okay.
So let's dive into the first one, which is really the launch pad for everything else.
And that starting point, the absolute foundation, has to be keyword research. What exactly is that? What are we doing?
It's basically detective work. It's the process of finding and analyzing the exact terms, the words, the phrases that your relevant audience is actually typing into search engines like Google.
Okay, but why start there? Why is it so crucial?
Because it tells you, flat out, what people are actively looking for. It takes the guesswork out of it.
No.
Are they searching for running shoes or best trainers for jogging? Knowing the exact language means you can create content and optimize your site to actually match that demand.
So if you guess wrong,
Your content might just sit there, invisible no matter how brilliant it is. The sources really hammer this home. Aligning with search queries is like the most basic relevance signal for Google.
I loved some of the examples the sources gave. Like for a pet retailer, finding out thousands search, how much food should I feed my dog every month?
Boom, instant content idea. Addresses a real need.
Exactly. Or noticing that maybe ranking for, say, Royal Canin dog food is way harder than Royal Canin cat food. Little insights like that.
Yeah.
And the one that really made me double take, seeing searches for best Python books are mostly about coding, not snakes.
Huh. Yeah, that highlights how it uncovers things you just wouldn't guess. Assumptions can be dangerous here.
Totally. So, okay, we know why it's essential. How do the sources say you actually find these keywords? Where do you even start looking?
Well, the material lays out a few key methods. One smart way, especially if you already have a site, is to check your existing rankings first.
Oh, see what you're already showing up for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might be ranking for terms you didn't even target. SEO tools can show you keywords where you're in the top 100. Or if you've snagged a SERP feature, like a featured snippet, sometimes you see a little crown icon in the reports.
Right.
It's often easier to improve a rank you already have than start from scratch. Build on existing momentum.
Okay, that makes sense. Build on what's working. What about finding totally new opportunities, the more common approach?
That's usually diving into a keyword database. You start with what's called a seed keyword, something broad related to your topic, like dog food.
Okay.
And the database then expands on that, showing you variations like broad match, phrase match, exact match terms, plus related keywords that maybe you hadn't thought of. The research really highlights how useful the filtering options are in these tools. You can say, okay, include terms like raw, or natural if that's your niche.
Or exclude brands you don't sell.
Precisely. And finding those question-based keywords, how to, what is, why does, those are gold because they reveal clear informational intent.
What about free tools? Google Keyword Planner comes up?
It does. The sources mention it as a free option, but with a caveat. It's really built for Google Ads, for PPC.
Right, paid search.
So its keyword insights aren't always as deep or SEO focused as the dedicated SEO tools. Fewer features for organic research.
Gotcha. Okay, what about peeking at the competition? Finding keywords they rank for, but you don't.
Ah, yes, the keyword gap analysis. This, I think, is a really powerful technique highlighted in the sources.
How does that work?
It's designed specifically to find keywords where your competitors are visible, but you aren't. The sources talk about identifying missing keywords terms, where, like, all your main competitors rank on page 1, but you're nowhere.
That signals high relevance for your market then.
Definitely. And they also mention untapped keywords, where maybe at least one competitor ranks. It's a fantastic way to uncover hidden opportunities you might have totally missed otherwise.
And then there's the manual way, just looking at Google itself.
Yeah, the sources cover that too, looking at Google autocomplete suggestions as you type.
Those drop downs.
Exactly. Or the related searches down at the bottom, or the people also ask boxes that pop up.
Okay.
It's pretty basic and honestly very time-consuming if you do it manually for lots of searches, but it's free. Gives you a feel for related concepts.
So let's say you do all this. You've got this potentially massive list of keywords. It can feel overwhelming. How do you actually choose the best ones to target?
It absolutely can feel like that. But the material gives us a really helpful checklist, a framework for prioritizing. First, and maybe the most important thing, is understanding search intent.
The why behind the search.
Exactly. What was the person really trying to achieve? Are they looking for a specific website that's navigational intent? Are they just trying to learn something general, informational?
Right.
Are they researching options before they buy? That's commercial. Or are they ready to pull the trigger and buy right now?
Transactional. And the example they used was good pedigree small dog versus best dog food.
Perfect example. Pedigree small dog, likely transactional. Someone probably wants to buy that specific product. So product pages rank.
Makes sense.
Best dog food. That sounds like commercial research.
Yeah.
Someone's comparing options. So you see review roundups, comparison articles, ranking high.
So understanding that intent tells you what kind of content you even need to create.
Precisely. And whether your business can actually satisfy that intent. The best way to gauge intent, just go look at the search engine results page of the Circuit yourself. See what Google is actually ranking.
Good tip. See what's already winning. Okay, intent first. What's next on the checklist?
Next up is search volume. How many people, roughly, are searching for this term each month?
Higher volume equals more potential traffic.
If you can rank well for it, yeah. But the research adds a really useful nuance here.
Yeah.
Don't get too hung up on the volume of just one single keyword. Often, you can target a cluster of related, maybe lower volume keywords, all on a single page. And their combined volume can add up to significant traffic potential. Don't dismiss keywords just because the individual number looks small.
That's smart, grouping them together. Okay, intent, volume. What's third?
Third is a concept I found really valuable in the sources. Considering your personal keyword difficulty, or PKD percent.
PKD percent? Different from regular keyword difficulty.
Yes, standard keyword difficulty, KD percent, gives a general sense of how hard it is for anyone to rank. But PKD percent is tailored. It estimates how hard it would be specifically for your website to rank for that keyword.
How does it figure that out?
It looks at your site's overall authority or strength, whether you already rank somewhere for it, and critically, your site's topical relevance to that specific query. The healthy dog food example they used was great. A massive site like Chewy.com. Maybe their PKD is only 22% for that term.
Right.
Relatively easy for them. A smaller niche site, TheUrbanPet.net. Maybe their PKD is 76%, much tougher. And a totally unrelated site like, say, Semrush.com itself. 100% PKD. Basically impossible due to lack of relevance.
Wow.
So the big insight here is prioritize keywords where your site's PKD is lower. That increases your actual likelihood of ranking and getting traffic. Focus on your realistic opportunities.
That PKD idea really reframes how you approach difficulty. It's not just the competition, it's your own context.
Exactly. It's a crucial nuance. Okay, fourth, check the SRP features.
Like featured snippets, image packs.
Video carousels. People also ask boxes, local packs.
Yeah.
Their presence affects where the traditional blue links appear and definitely influences click-through rates. Are they an opportunity you can target, like a snippet? Or are they a threat? pushing organic results down. It shapes your strategy.
Makes sense. And finally, the practical side, cost-benefit analysis.
Right. You got to weigh the investment, the time, the money for creating really good content, maybe for tools, for staff time, against the potential value.
And value isn't just sales, right?
No, value can be traffic, sure, but also brand awareness, maybe earning backlinks naturally, building your site's authority on a topic. The sources mentioned that the cost per click, CPC data from paid search, can sometimes be a rough proxy for commercial value. If advertisers are paying a lot per click, it probably converts well.
Interesting indicator.
Quantifying all this value isn't always straightforward, especially things like awareness, but the sources stress its importance. It's a skill that improves with experience.
Okay, great framework. So you've done the research, you've picked your keywords using that checklist. How do you actually use them on your website? Where do they go?
Right, the application. First step is keyword mapping. This is simply deciding which target keywords will be addressed by which specific page on your site.
Existing page or a new one?
Could be either. You might optimize an existing page, or you might need to create a new one specifically for that keyword or topic. And a smart technique the sources highlight here is keyword clustering.
Grouping related keywords again.
Exactly. Grouping keywords that share a very similar search intent so you can target them all effectively on a single comprehensive page. Tools can often help identify these clusters that have high potential based on combined volume and difficulty.
Okay, so you know the page, you know the keywords. Now you need the actual content.
Absolutely. And the mantra here is content quality and usability. The content must satisfy the user's search intent, be thorough, accurate, genuinely valuable.
And easy to read.
Definitely. Well-structured, using formatting like headings, subheadings, bullet points, bold text to break things up. And critically, it needs to demonstrate EEAT.
Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness.
You got it. Google's looking for that.
Yeah.
The best content doesn't just repeat information, it adds value. Maybe it's more detailed, offers a unique angle, includes original data or images, or provides real-world examples.
Like that Rover dog feeding guide example.
Fantastic example. Super detailed, cites vets, great formatting, table of contents, even a video. It just screams helpfulness and authority.
So write for the user first, but structure it smartly. Which brings us to putting the keywords in the content.
Yes, using keywords strategically. And this does not mean keyword stuffing.
Right, repeating it awkwardly over and over.
No. Include your keywords naturally where they make sense in the flow of the text. Sometimes you need to tweak the phrasing, don't force pedigree small dog, if pedigree food for small dogs sounds better.
Where are the key places?
Ideally, your primary keyword should appear in the title tag.
The one in the search results?
Yep. Also the main H1 heading on the page, somewhere early in the first paragraph, probably in the meta description, and in the URL slug if possible.
Okay.
Secondary related keywords can then be woven naturally into the body text and subheadings. And the sources also mention using keywords strategically in the anchor text of internal links pointing to that page.
That makes sense. Now here's a really practical tip from the sources that I liked. Prioritize optimizing pages that already rank for something, even if it's low down.
That is excellent advice. Why? Because optimizing existing content is usually way faster and easier than building something brand new from scratch.
You've already got some traction.
Exactly. You leverage the page's existing authority and URL history. You can often see results much quicker. Plus, it lets you improve any quality issues on pages Google already knows about. Low-hanging fruit. Often.
Any more advanced keyword tips that stood out?
Yeah, the sources mentioned digging into semantic keywords. These aren't the exact terms people search for, but related concepts or words you'd expect to find in really thorough content on a topic.
Like,
in a guide about dog food, you'd expect to see terms like healthy weight, nutritional needs, puppy development, even if people aren't searching those exact phrases as much. Including them signals completeness and topical depth to Google.
Interesting.
And also trying to anticipate trends. Using tools like Google Trends, keeping an eye on industry news, social media buzz, or just, talking to your actual customers about what's on their minds. Stay ahead of the curve a bit.
That's a really thorough look at keywords. Okay, so we found the words, we know how to prioritize them. Let's shift focus now to optimizing the page itself based on those words. That's on-page SEO, right? Everything you control directly on your website pages.
Exactly. This is distinct from off-page SEO, which involves external factors like backlinks. With on-page, you're in the driver's seat. You can edit these elements directly.
And why is this so important?
Because these on-page elements, the words, the structure, the code, are fundamentally how search engines figure out what your page is about and, crucially, whether it's a relevant match for what someone searched for. As the sources keep saying, Google wants people-first content. On-page optimization helps you deliver that effectively and signal it to Google.
Okay, let's unpack the key techniques the sources highlight for good on-page SEO. Where does it start?
Well, unsurprisingly, it starts right back with having unique, helpful, detailed content that genuinely satisfies the search intent we identified during keyword research. Content is still king, as they say.
Right, can't optimize a bad page. And then using those target keywords strategically within the content.
Yep. Placing them naturally, especially in your main H1 heading, early in the first paragraph, and within relevant subheaders, H2s, H3s. It guides both the reader and the search engine. Clear signals.
Okay, number 3, the title tag. You mentioned this before.
Critical piece. It's that HTML element, not the title you see on the page necessarily, but the one that shows up in the browser tab and, most importantly, as the main clickable headline in search results.
What makes a good one?
Unique for every single page. Keep it concise, around 50, 60 characters ideally, so it doesn't get cut off. Include your main target keyword, preferably near the beginning. It massively impacts whether someone clicks your result over another.
Absolutely. It's your first impression in the SRPs. And closely related is the meta description.
Yes, another HTML element. That's the little snippet of text, the summary, that often appears under the title tag in search results.
Does it directly affect rankings?
The sources confirm it's not a direct ranking factor itself, but it is incredibly important for convincing users to actually click on your result.
Okay.
So make it compelling. Keep it fairly short, around 120 characters maybe for mobile display. Include your keyword if it fits naturally. Google sometimes bolds it in the results if it matches the query. Use active voice, make it engaging, maybe even include a subtle call to action.
But Google might not always use the one you write.
That's true. Sometimes Google will pull a different snippet from your page content if it thinks that snippet is a better match for the user's specific search query. But you should still write a good default one.
Got it. Next up, using headings and subheadings properly. H1, H2, H3, etc. This is about structure.
Exactly. Both for human readers and for search engines. Headings break up your text, making it much easier for people to scan and grasp the main points quickly.
Skim reading.
And for Google, they provide a clear, hierarchical structure of your content. It helps the engine understand the main topic, H1, and the key subtopics, H2s, H3s, within the page.
What about the URL itself? Optimizing URLs seems like a small detail, but the sources mention it.
They do, and it's good practice. Keep your URLs simple, descriptive, and try to include your target keyword if it makes sense. Use actual words that reflect the page content, separated by hyphens.
So avoid those weird cryptic URLs.
Definitely avoid things like page.id 9876 in ARS, ESYZ. A clean URL, like Blog on Page SEO Tips, is much better for both users and search engines. Easier to understand, easier to share.
Okay, what about links within your own site? Internal links.
Internal linking is vital. These are links that go from one page on your website to another page on your website.
Why are they important?
Several reasons. They help search engines discover new content on your site as they crawl from page to page. They help establish the structure and relationship between your pages, showing which topics are connected. And they pass authority or link equity between your pages, signaling which ones you consider most important.
And they help users too, right?
Absolutely. Good internal linking helps users navigate your site, find related information, and stay engaged longer.
Okay, what about linking out to other websites, external links?
Linking out to relevant, high-quality, authoritative external sources can actually be beneficial.
Really? Why?
It can improve the user experience by providing additional context or backing up your claims. If you mention a statistic or a study, linking to the original source builds trust and credibility. Just make sure the sites you link to are reputable and the links genuinely add value for the reader. Don't just link out randomly.
Got it. And the last core element here seems to be images, optimizing images.
Yeah, images make content more engaging, but they need optimizing too. The most crucial part is the alt text.
What's that for?
It serves two main purposes. First, accessibility. It provides a description of the image for visually impaired users who rely on screen readers.
Right.
Second, SEO. It helps search engines understand what the image is about, which can help your images rank in Google image search and contributes to the page's overall topic relevance.
So how do you write good alt text?
Keep it descriptive but concise. Accurately describe what's in the image. Include your target keyword naturally if it's relevant to the image, but don't stuff it in. And avoid starting with image of or picture of. It's redundant.
And other image optimizations.
Also important, use descriptive file names before you upload, e.g. on-page co-checklist.jpg instead of img001.jpg. Compress images to reduce file size for faster loading. And consider using lazy loading, where images only load as the user scrolls down to them. All helps with page speed.
Page speed keeps coming up. So beyond those basics, the sources mention some advanced on-page tactics.
Yes. A major one, as you just noted, is optimizing page speed. It's not just good practice, it's a confirmed direct ranking factor. Slow pages kill user experience and hurt rankings.
How do you measure and improve it?
The material really emphasizes checking your site's core web vitals using tools like Google's PageSpeed Insights. Those metrics, largest contentful paint, LCP, first input delay, FID, soon to be replaced by IMP, and cumulative layout shift, CLS, measure key aspects of the user's loading experience.
And fixing it involves
Common fixes include optimizing and compressing images, leveraging browser caching, using content delivery networks, CDNs, to serve assets faster, and minifying code, CSS, JavaScript, to remove unnecessary characters. It gets technical quickly.
What about those featured snippets we talked about? Can you target them on page?
You can try. Targeting featured snippets that position zero box at the top is an advanced tactic. They often answer questions directly or provide definitions, lists, or steps.
So how do you optimize for them?
The sources suggest you can increase your chances by providing clear, concise, well-structured answers that directly address the likely search query. Formatting is key. Use headings, bullet points, numbered lists, or tables where appropriate. Make it easy for Google to pull your answer out.
And the last advanced tactic mentioned was schema markup, or structured data.
Right. Schema is basically a type of code or vocabulary that you add to your page's HTML to help search engines understand the meaning and context of your content more deeply.
Like identifying what something is.
Exactly. You can mark up a recipe, a product, with price, availability, an event, with dates, location, an article, a review, local business info, FAQs, and much more.
Does it help you rank higher directly?
Not directly in the standard organic results, according to the sources. However, using schema can make your listing eligible for rich snippets in the search results.
Those are the enhanced listings.
Yeah, like seeing star ratings directly in the search results for a product, or FAQ dropdowns, or event dates. These make your listing stand out and can significantly improve your click-through rate, CTR, from the search results page. It really bridges the gap between your on-page content and the technical implementation.
That's a perfect segue then. Let's talk technical SEO. This sounds like the really behind-the-scenes stuff.
It often is. Technical SEO is all about optimizing the back-end infrastructure of your website to make sure search engines can effectively find, crawl, understand, render, and index your content without any issues.
And it also covers user experience, things like speed and mobile.
Yes, absolutely. Because those are heavily influenced by the technical setup of the site. Things like server speed, code efficiency, responsive design, they're all technical aspects that impact user experience.
Okay, why is this technical layer so fundamentally important?
Because, as the material puts it very clearly, if search engines cannot properly access, crawl, or understand your pages due to technical problems, those pages simply will not rank.
Doesn't matter how good the content is.
Doesn't matter at all. If Googlebot can't get to it or make sense of it, it's invisible in search results. Plus, factors like site speed and mobile friendliness are direct ranking signals now because Google prioritizes sites that offer a good user experience.
Okay, let's break down how Google interacts with a site. It starts with crawling, right? Where search engine bots follow links to discover pages. How can we help them with that?
A well-thought-out, SEO-friendly site architecture is key. This means organizing your pages logically, usually in a hierarchical structure, so that important content is easily reachable from the home page, ideally within just a few clicks.
And avoiding orphan pages.
Yes, exactly. Orphan pages are pages on your site that have no internal links pointing to them. This makes them incredibly difficult for search engines and users to find. The sources recommend using site audit tools to identify and fix these, usually by adding relevant internal links to the orphan page.
And you need to give Google a map, basically, the site map.
Right. Submitting an XML sitemap is crucial. It's essentially a file that lists all the important URLs on your site that you want search engines to know about and crawl.
Is it always necessary?
It's especially helpful for very large websites, sites with complex structures, brand new sites with few external links, or sites where the internal linking might not be perfect. It gives search engines a clear roadmap. You typically submit it via Google Search Console, GSC.
Okay, so after crawling comes indexing. This is where Google analyzes the page and stores it in its massive database.
That's right. And a page must be successfully indexed to have any chance of showing up in search results. If it's not in the index, it doesn't exist as far as Google search is concerned.
How can you check if a page is indexed?
The quickest way is using the cite operator in Google search. Just type cite.yourwebsite.com, your dash page, worksheet, into Google. If it shows up, it's indexed. If not, it probably isn't.
What about keeping pages out of the index, the noindex tag?
Yes, the noindex meta tag is an instruction telling search engines not to add that specific page to their index. The sources stress using this carefully.
When would you use it?
For pages that don't need to appear in organic search results, maybe internal search results pages, thank you pages after a form submission, some PPC landing pages, or admin login areas, you definitely don't want to accidentally put it on important pages you want to rank.
Okay. And canonical tags are related to indexing too, right? Helping with similar content?
Exactly. Canonical tags, rel canonical, are super important when you have pages with identical or very similar content accessible via multiple different URLs.
Like product variation.
Could be product variations with different parameters in the URL, or maybe print-friendly versions of pages, or content syndicated to other domains. The canonical tag points from the duplicate or similar versions to the one single URL that you consider the main canonical version.
And this tells Google.
It tells Google which version to prioritize for indexing and ranking, and helps consolidate any ranking signals, like backlinks, to that preferred URL. It prevents duplicate content issues and ensures you're putting your best foot forward.
Okay, there seem to be quite a few other technical best practices the sources cover. Let's run through some key ones.
Absolutely. First up, HTTPS, using a secure connection.
Is this still optional?
Not really. It's been a confirmed ranking signal since 2014. Users expect the padlock icon. You need an SSL/TLS certificate installed, and crucially, make sure any old HTTP versions of your pages automatically redirect to the secure HTTPS version.
Finding and fixing duplicate content. We touched on this with canonicals, but it seems broader.
It is. Having the exact same or even very similar content appearing on multiple URLs on your site or across different sites can cause problems.
Like what?
Google might get confused about which version to rank, potentially showing an undesirable URL. It can dilute the value of your backlinks if they point to multiple versions. And it wastes crawl budget, as Google crawls the same content multiple times.
So how do you fix it?
Tools can help you find duplicate content issues. The fix usually involves choosing one primary version and then either removing the duplicates, using canonical tags to point to the primary one, or using 301 redirects to send users and bots from the duplicate to the canonical URL.
Related to that, ensuring only one version of your entire website is accessible, like with or without the www.
Yes, that's crucial. Users and search engines should only be able to access your site at either https.yourwebsite.com or https.www.yourwebsite.com, but not both. Pick one as your preferred version and make sure the other version automatically 301 redirects to it. Having both live is a classic site-wide duplicate content issue.
Improve page speed. This keeps popping up, clearly vital from a technical angle, too.
Absolutely. The underlying causes of slow speed are technical. Server configuration, inefficient code, unoptimized images, render blocking resources. Again, monitoring and improving those core Web Vitals, LCP, FNP, CLS, is a core technical SEO task.
Mobile friendliness. Also essential now with mobile-first indexing.
Non-negotiable. Google primarily crawls and indexes the mobile version of your site now, so your site must render perfectly and be fully usable on smartphones. The sources mentioned checking for things like having a meta viewport tag set correctly, using legible font sizes, and ensuring buttons or links aren't too close together for tapping.
Breadcrumb navigation. We mentioned it helps users, but it has technical benefits too.
It does. Breadcrumbs are that trail of links, usually at the top of a page, showing where you are in the site structure. D, home category, subcategory page. They reinforce your site structure for search engines through internal linking and help distribute PageRank or link equity throughout the site, especially useful for larger sites.
Pagination versus infinite scroll for long lists.
Generally, pagination breaking long lists like blog archives or product categories into distinct pages, page 1, page 2, page 3, etc., is preferred for SEO. Why? Because it creates unique URLs for each page that crawlers can easily find and index. Infinite scroll, where more content loads automatically as you scroll down, can sometimes make it difficult for crawlers to access and index all the content, especially items further down the list. There are ways to implement infinite scroll in an SEO-friendly way, but standard pagination is often simpler and safer.
Reviewing your robots.txt file. This sounds a bit intimidating. What is it?
It's a simple text file that lives at the root of your domain, like yoursite.com/robots.txt. Its purpose is to provide instructions to web crawlers, like Googlebot, about which parts of your website they are allowed to access and crawl, and which parts they should avoid.
Why is checking it important?
Because it's surprisingly easy to make a mistake in this file. A single misplaced character or incorrect directive could accidentally block Google from crawling important sections of your site, or even your entire site. You need to periodically check it to make sure you're not unintentionally disallowing access to pages you want indexed and ranked.
Okay. Implementing structured data, schema markup, also fits under the technical umbrella.
It definitely does. While we talked about the on-page benefit of potentially getting rich snippets, the actual process of adding that schema code to your page's HTML is a technical implementation task. It shows again how on-page goals often require technical SEO execution.
Finding and fixing broken pages, those 404 errors.
Yes, essential housekeeping. Broken pages returning a 4ACX status code like 404 not found provide a bad user experience and are a waste of any backlinks that might be pointing to them. You need to use tools to regularly scan your site for broken internal links and broken outbound links, then fix them by either restoring the missing page or, more commonly, implementing a 301 redirect from the broken URL to the most relevant live page.
Optimizing for core web vitals, worth hitting one more time here under technical.
Absolutely, because improving LCP, FNP, and CLS requires technical adjustments to your site's code, server, and assets. It's a fundamental technical performance check.
And for sites targeting multiple countries or languages, hreflang tags are key.
Yes, hreflang tags are crucial for international SEO. If you have the same or similar content tailored for different languages or geographic regions, like a UK version and a US version of a page, hreflang tags are HTML attributes that tell Google which specific URL should be shown to users based on their language and location settings.
Examples.
The sources show examples like using link rel alternate hreflang NGB,
Yeah.
ref urluf upage for British English, or link rel alternate hreflang SS urluf Spain page for Spanish and Spain. Getting these wrong can lead to Google showing the wrong language or regional version to users, which is obviously a poor experience.
Wow, this all sounds like a lot of ongoing work.
It really is. And perhaps the most critical takeaway from the sources regarding technical SEO is exactly that: the need to stay on top of technical issues. Websites are dynamic, they change, you add new content, install plugins, update themes, servers change, and technical problems can creep in.
Like what kind of problems?
Redirect chains or loops, new broken links, pages becoming unintentionally no-indexed, mobile usability errors, crawl budget issues. The list goes on. Plus, search engine algorithms and best practices evolve. The sources highlight using site audit tools regularly to monitor for a wide range, over 140 apparently, potential issues, and making technical health checks and fixes a continuous part of your SEO process. It's absolutely not a set it and forget it thing.
That really drives home the maintenance aspect.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of specific context, let's shift gears one last time to local SEO. This is specialized, right, for businesses targeting local customers.
Exactly. Local SEO is a subset of SEO specifically focused on increasing visibility for businesses that serve customers within a particular geographic area. Think restaurants, plumbers, dentists, retail stores.
So not just ranking in the regular blue links.
Right. It's largely about optimizing to appear prominently in location-based search results, especially the Google Local Pack, that map listing with usually 3 businesses, and on Google Maps itself.
And why is this so critical for those types of businesses?
Because a huge percentage of searches have local intent. Billions every month, according to the sources. People searching for pizza near me, best hairdresser in city, emergency plumber town. These searchers often have high purchase intent they're ready to visit or call. Ranking well locally directly drives foot traffic, calls, appointment bookings, and sales.
So how does Google decide who shows up in those prime local spots, like the local pack?
For the local pack and maps results, Google primarily looks at 3 main factors, often called the local ranking factors. One is relevance. How well is your business profile match what the person searched for? 2 is distance. How physically close is your business to the searcher's location, or the location specified in the search? And 3 is prominence. How well known and reputable is your business? This takes into account things like online reviews, citations, brand mentions, and even your overall organic SEO performance.
Interesting. And for the regular organic results that appear below the pack but still have local intent?
For those, the sources note that Google considers factors more similar to traditional SEO. relevance still, but also quality of content and overall usability of the website, bringing back those on-page and technical SEO factors we already discussed. Good overall SEO helps local SEO too.
Okay, that makes sense. So how do you actually do local SEO to influence those relevance, distance, and prominence factors? Where do you start?
Well, just like regular SEO, it often starts with local keyword research. You need to find the specific terms people in your target location actually use when searching for your products or services. Often these include city names, neighborhoods, or near me.
How do you find those local terms?
The sources suggest a few methods. Research what keywords your local competitors are ranking for. Using that keyword gap analysis, again, can find untapped local terms. Use Google Autocomplete as you start typing local service queries. It often predicts relevant long-tail local terms. And Google Keyword Planner can give you search volume estimates specifically for geographic locations.
And the absolute cornerstone of local SEO seems to be the Google Business Profile.
It absolutely is. Your Google Business Profile, formerly Google My Business or GMB, is that free listing that appears in Maps and the local pack. It's often the first impression a potential local customer has of your business online.
So what's key here?
First, you must claim and verify your profile. Then fill out every single section completely and accurately. Your business name, address, phone number, NAP, website, operating hours, keep these updated, especially for holidays, categories, services offered, photos, and attributes like wheelchair accessible, free Wi-Fi, outdoor seating. Details matter.
And just setting it up isn't enough, right? You need to keep it active.
Exactly. Google likes to see activity. Regularly update your profile, post updates about news, events, or special offers using Google Posts, upload new photos frequently, and crucially, actively encourage customers to leave reviews and make sure you respond to those reviews, both positive and negative. It shows you're engaged and value customer feedback.
Okay, what about local citations? What are those?
Citations are online mentions of your business's core information, name, address, and phone number, NAP. These can appear on various websites, online directories, and platforms.
Why do they matter?
Consistency is key here. Having your NAP listed accurately and consistently across many reputable websites helps Google verify the legitimacy and location of your business. It builds trust. Aim for consistent listings on major platforms like Yelp, Apple Maps, Bing Places, relevant industry-specific directories, and local Chamber of Commerce or community sites. Tools can help you find existing citations, check for inconsistencies, and build new ones.
Encouraging and responding to online reviews seems huge for that prominence factor.
Definitely. Online reviews are powerful social proof. They build trust and confidence for potential customers and directly impact your prominence in Google's eyes. Google reviews are obviously very important for the local pack, but positive reviews on other relevant platforms like industry-specific sites also help build your overall reputation.
How do you get more reviews?
The sources suggest making it easy for satisfied customers to leave them, provide direct links, use QR codes on receipts or signage, maybe send a follow-up email. But crucially, never pay for or incentivize reviews in a way that violates platform policies. And as mentioned, always respond to reviews promptly and professionally, thanking positive reviewers and addressing concerns in negative ones constructively.
And refining your regular on-page SEO helps local, too.
Yes, because as we noted, strong organic rankings contribute to local prominence. Basic local on-page tips include naturally incorporating your main local keywords, actually plumber and city, into your website's title tags, meta descriptions, and page content. If you serve multiple distinct areas, consider creating specific location pages on your site, detailing your services in each area, and use internal linking to connect these location pages logically.
Are backlinks still important for a local SEO?
Yes, backlinks remain a strong ranking signal, even at the local level. Local link building focuses on acquiring relevant links from other websites within your geographic community.
Like who?
Think about partnerships with other local non-competing businesses, getting featured in local news outlets or blogs, sponsoring local events or charities, or joining local business associations. Relevance and locality are key here.
Okay, so you're doing all this work. How do you track if it's actually paying off? How do you monitor local results?
Good question. Tracking local rankings is a bit different. You need tools that can specifically track your rankings within Google Maps for your target keywords, often visualized using heat maps showing your visibility across your service area.
And track regular search results locally too?
Yes, you also need to track your standard organic rankings, but specifically filtered for different geographic locations, like tracking your rank in specific cities, counties, or even ZIP codes you target. These tools can also help identify which keywords are triggering the local pack in those locations and whether you are appearing in it. It helps you pinpoint where you're strong and where you need more work.
Wow. Okay, that covers a huge amount of ground.
Yeah.
We started with the foundation, keyword research, understanding what your audience is actually looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Then we moved into on-page SEO, optimizing the content and the technical elements right there on the page itself.
Making it clear and usable.
Then technical SEO, ensuring the whole underlying website structure is sound, allowing search engines to access, understand, and index your content properly.
The essential plumbing.
Right. And finally, we layered on local SEO, tailoring all these principles to specifically reach customers in a defined geographic area.
It really is a complex ecosystem, isn't it?
Yeah.
But hopefully, seeing how these 4 core pillars, keyword research, on-page technical, and local interconnect, as detailed in the sources, provides a really solid framework.
Yeah.
While it can definitely seem like a lot to take in, getting a handle on these fundamental areas gives you a clear roadmap, the way forward for improving your online visibility and genuinely connecting with your audience where they're actually searching.
And this deep dive was crafted specifically for you, pulling out those key actionable insights directly from the source materials provided.
Exactly. So as you absorb all this and start thinking about how to apply it, here's maybe one final thought to chew on, something the sources implicitly raise. Given how rapidly and constantly search algorithms evolve and change, what do you think is the single most important mindset or perhaps approach one needs to cultivate to maintain consistent online visibility in the long run?